Okay. All right, here we go. Back live again. And it looks like we're doing okay. Doobie-doo-ba-ba-ba. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so sorry I had to restart the live, guys. Basically, I was having issues with YouTube saying that my resolutions for the stream was too high, which I guess that's a good problem to have if you're going to have any problem with a stream. Let's see here. That literally says M2 by 3, so that's super helpful. M2 by 3, which are these super tiny ones. See, it's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, so let's see. Chat rate 1. I don't have anybody in chat. I don't have a single chat here. What's up, guys? I'll chat myself. Here we go. Okay, so one hinge is in. One more to go. Except I have to find the other hinge. I know I didn't drop it on the floor. We've got the old Wi-Fi cables. The screen. There's the other hinge. I was wondering where you were. So I'm not missing all the screws. I have actually all 3 screws for this side. So I guess I do still have all 6 of them. So my bad on using aftermarket screws for it, but whatever. At least I know I have the right size. I'll go ahead and take the screw out here. Goodbye, rivet. Goodbye, rivet. I don't know where my mini pliers went. They must be in my, like, under the steps area here. Yeah, so my office is a mess. I always have a lot of different things going on at once. Oh my gosh, that one is very difficult. There we go. Stupid rivet. Stupid rivet. Okay, so if all goes according to plan for this one, it should be relatively fast. Okay. Hinge is in place. And you'll notice for this, I'm not using my LTT bit, my LTT screwdriver. Not that it's bad or anything, it's just that I have carpal tunnel. So having my stuff be a little more automated is better for me. Because otherwise it hurts. I love working on your computers, but I don't love the pain. Do not love the pain. Okay. Well, there's that. And that side of that looks good. Everything is looking really good. So basically, it's time to put the screen back in. So like I said, I don't really want to use the glue that's included here. And the reason that I say that is because, well, first of all, the glue runs under the hinge, so there's no freaking way in in my dreams, or anyone's dreams, that that'll actually work in the future or ever to pull this glue out of here. But I'm not going to make this more difficult for the next person who has to replace this piece. Now, maybe he'll do fine and he won't have any issues with it. Maybe he won't. I really have no clue. But I'm not about to be the one that makes his life or the life of the next person to work on this far more difficult. So, that being said, this does still have some of the original glue on the back of it. This old glue, however, doesn't necessarily need to all come off. Got that latched in place. I'm going to slide the screen into position here. It's actually looking pretty good. Things are looking great. Okay. So at this point, all I really have to do is put the bezel back on and then try reattaching it and make sure everything works. These little doohickeys here, I want to cut off. And I'm going to, because I don't want them interfering with the operation of this screen or the bezel going in. So I'm going to do the weird thing and use a pair of scissors and try and cut it off. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Now we can put that bezel back on. Just route our cables through here. It looks like we might have to route the cables underneath of the hinge in order to get them to go where they're supposed to. Ugh, the hinge is all dusty and gross. Probably should have thought about cleaning it before I try to put it all back together, but I was mostly concerned with making sure everything was installed properly. Okay. Now, even the freaking bezel has glue all over it. It's really annoying. It really makes for a difficult job when you've got these strings of glue all over the place. And they're not strings of glue, they're adhesive strips, but it's what Lenovo uses to hold everything together. I find it super annoying. It's kind of like the adhesive strips that go on your iPhone to hold your screen in place. In fact, it's a lot like that, actually. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I had to route the display cable portion of it, the display / camera cable, through the proper part of the hinge. Click, 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 click. Clicking right back into place where it should, which is really, really good. going to click from the top around. All I'm really doing here is gently grabbing and pushing this bezel back into place. So there's that. It's usually super straightforward once you reach this point. Now, the one thing about these is that they'll never be as good as they were. The screen will never be the same because it's been removed. So there's probably going to be some minor, some minor artifacting and things like, not artifacting, that's the wrong word to use. There's going to be some minor blemishes probably in the screen from the removal process. And I hate to say that, but it's just because, Lenovo forces, and I literally mean that, they force you to take the screen out in the way that I did, because they glue it in with this adhesive that they run underneath of the hinges, which is so silly. But anyway, the screen is all put back together now, as you can see here. So we're going to go ahead and take the body of the laptop. We're going to plug the screen back in, run the Wi-Fi cable back to where it belongs, the Wi-Fi/Bluetooth cable, sorry, and make sure everything works as it's supposed to. Remember, the battery is still disconnected here, so we don't really have anything to worry about in terms of battery or voltage arcing or things like that. We're all clear from that standpoint. No, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. In fact, it pinched and didn't go through properly at all. I'm hoping that didn't damage that display cable. There we go. Originally, I routed this underneath of the hinge, and I think I'm going to redo that. Because based on what I'm seeing, it looks like it should probably go up above the hinge. Otherwise, it'll pinch too much. And now, this is something I would have known had I replaced this on the same day that I removed it, but like I said, I had to have the part number off the back, so it sat here for a few days, all jacked up. Okay. All right, that's fine. So now we'll route this up above like that. And then, now, when I go to put the hinges back in place, that will route underneath of the hinge, which will not damage it. And will leave it enough room to be flexible to get where it needs to go. So basically what I'm doing is I'm grabbing these hinges and I'm pushing them down while I'm while I'm trying to hold it all in place. That way it goes back in a semi-friendly manner, I guess is the best way for me to put it. So the Wi-Fi antenna cable has to be pushed into its routing channel. Wi-Fi/Bluetooth cable, I should say. And I actually might wind up doing the same thing with this side as I did with the other. Route that cable underneath of the hinge, but I can do that from right here already, I believe. No, not quite. Well, that's underneath, but it's not underneath the way I want it to be. Oh, all right, well, we're definitely testing these hinges and testing the flexibility of the plastic on all this, so thanks for your patience, guys. This is a live stream, so I mean, this is things are not going to be 100% all the time. There we go. Pull that down and through. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Okay, so now that the cables are finally routed properly, I should be able to smush everything right back into place where it originally was, and just test out the screen, make sure it all works. There's that part. It's a little disheartening when you go live on YouTube and there's nobody watching. I know you guys can watch later, but this is why I just don't go live very often, because I feel like my regular content gets a lot more views. My goodness, I have so much junk on my desk from all the work I've been doing lately. I even have some pre-vacation junk on my desk. So that's a factor too, I suppose. There we go. It's getting routed nice and beautifully. Excuse me. I'm routing the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth cables around the fan. And I could go below the SSD like they did before. They removed the SSD and routed the cables down below so they'd hold really, really tight. I don't need that to happen. I just needed it to get where it was going. And we made it there, so we're good. Okay, so the worst part is behind us. I just have to put the screws into these hinges, and then I think we're A-okay. And we have 4 screws for these hinges, so we can make that happen easy. So back in the day, you would put you'd put a bezel on a laptop, and rather than having to worry about the laptop screen moving underneath of the bezel, there were 4 little screws that would screw the display in place, or 2, or whatever. You know, it didn't have to be anything crazy, and it never really was. But nowadays, and I'm seeing this more and more often, manufacturers like HP and Lenovo, even Dell, are starting to glue their screens in place, which if you have an issue with your hinge screws, or with your hinges, like HP does, or this Lenovo, for example, you end up basically breaking the screen just to get the hinges replaced, or to get that back panel replaced. And so my one condition and my one concern with this is always, am I going to break the screen? Because it's so easy to break these displays, because they're so tiny and so fragile and so thin that it's a really simple thing to do. So I had a really hard time getting this battery unplugged, and I seem to be having a hard time getting it plugged back in. I don't know why. My gosh. Okay, now the battery's hooked back up. I don't have the Wi-Fi hooked back up, but I want to test my screen and make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to go ahead and open this laptop up. We're going to turn it on, and we'll, moment of truth here. Did we break anything? It doesn't look like it. Now, it's filthy, mind you, but nothing is broken. Oh, sorry, I pinched that. That was me. And this is supposed to be a touch screen, so we're going to just test the touch of it too. Make sure that everything works. Whoop, whoop. Looks like it does. So we're good. This was a successful repair. So now I'm just going to hook the Wi-Fi cables back up inside, back to the Wi-Fi card. We'll put the bottom cover on and call the customer. Let him know he can pick up his laptop. Oh yeah, and because it's Lenovo, or because it's a off-brand or whatever, they do put this sticker over the Lenovo logo here. Or it actually looks like electrical tape, but it definitely doesn't feel like it when you go to peel it off. But underneath it just says Lenovo. They don't ever want you to see that it says Lenovo online. It will. The part will always usually have that. You know, it's kind of like when you go on Amazon and you want to order like a new back lid for your Dell or for your Apple. Like, it's gonna say Apple or Dell on it, but they can't show that. All right, let's see. Pull the tip off of this and pull the tip off of that. This is always one of my least favorite parts because big old fingers and these Wi-Fi antenna cables are usually really, really small. Well, it's usually quite a challenge for me to get them in, but not this time. Or at least not for the black one. I still have one to go, so fingers crossed here. Okay. So yeah, I did speak too soon. It was like, oh, this isn't going to be too difficult, and then now it is. Ah, I got it. All right. It's officially all repaired, so let's go ahead and put the back cover back on. That I still cannot read, even in this light. Because why make things easy, right? A little mushy there. It's weird. Okay. The back cover's on. Let's go ahead and drop these screws in. The big long ones, anyway. Okay. And swap out my screw driver bit here. Beautiful. 0 chat, 0 comment views, and 0 concurrent views? And I'm not sure what all that means, but that's okay. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. That went back together beautifully. All right, we're officially completely repaired now. So, lesson to be learned in this circumstance is always open your laptop from the middle, not from the sides, because opening from the sides will cause your hinges to break if you have a plastic laptop. So, just for your reference, you know. Also, this Lenovo, these are pretty nice little computers. Generally, I have a lot harder of a time getting parts for these than I did this time around. So I got extremely lucky because a lot of these parts end up having to come from China, which there were some options to get it from China, but it was going to be like, hey, let's wait a few weeks. Rarely do I find where I actually go online and end up getting a Lenovo part given back or on Amazon to be delivered within a couple days. Hey, you're live. What up? It's Brett. Hey, Brett. I need that little screwdriver. Nice fix. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the earlier video, but this was just the last little part of it here. So, but yeah, it's all wrapped up. And this is actually just like the laptop that you sold me. So, but this is another customer's. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up that screen because it's really grody. And just clean up the laptop in general. And we'll move that bit out of there. Yeah, so I actually posted, I started a live and then I stopped the live because, will you be quiet? Nobody asked your opinion, dog. And then I stopped the live because I had some sort of bit rate issue or something like that. So went live again. But earlier this week I did a video on this laptop where I was tearing it apart, and I actually had the hardest time getting the screen out, and I was really worried I was actually going to break it. But we ended up doing okay. Could have been a lot worse. So, ew. Get this all clean. Oh, that's quite a task to get that all clean. There's just some stuff that just doesn't want to come off. Yeah. So the screen did actually take a little damage when I was working on it, and this is the part of Lenovo's issue here that is, well, I mean, it's just part of what happened. So if you look down here in the corner, you can actually see there's some light shining through here. It almost looks like fingerprints on the screen. But because I had to pry this out and use just basically a bunch of isopropyl alcohol and plastic tools to try to pull this out of here, there was a little bit of pressure that happened on the back of this display here, and so there's some artifacting here, not artifacting, but you know, just light spots where it came through. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, typically I would charge for a screen for this repair, but I didn't charge for a screen because I was just looking to get this done as quickly as I could for this customer because he needs it for school. So if he wants to replace the screen, you know, I can do that for him, and I can pull it out and put a new screen in, no problem now, because I decided not to use the glue this time. But it is what it is, you know, sometimes this happens. So, but I'll inform him of what happened and show him and that kind of thing. But I mean, it's cheaper than going through Lenovo. So, unfortunately, that happens sometimes. So, but otherwise, it's clean and it's ready to roll. So, I call it a success either way, but oh well. If he doesn't like it, you know, I can always offer him some kind of a discount on labor, but that's kind of how it is. So, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Again, this will be up as a video later, so leave me a like on this and subscribe if you could. Bye.